An open glass is created by rotating the curve y is x squared defined in the domain x is from 0 to 10, included 2 pi radians about the y-axis. Units on the coordinate axis are in centimeters. A. When the glass contains water to a height h centimeters, find the volume V of water in terms of h. So this situation looks like this. There is a curve y is x squared, and what is it? It's a usual parabola, and x changes from 0 to 10, and this curve is rotated about y-axis, and there is some arbitrary chosen height h, and the level of water is up to h, and we need what? A volume of revolution. And to find the volume of revolution, we use the next formula. Since it is rotated about y-axis, we use the next formula, pi, integral from a to b, limits should be along y-axis, inverse function of x squared dx, or pi integral x in terms of y squared but dy. It's actually the same, because to find the inverse you also should eventually solve for x in terms of y. So we will use this formula, and since our f of x or y is x squared, let's find the inverse. How to find the inverse? We interchange x and y, so it becomes x is y squared, and y is, in general, it's plus minus square root of x, but you can see that since function is y is x squared, for x is positive, and you remember for function and its inverse, x and y change each other. So for usual function, x is positive, y is also positive. So for inverse, y is the same as x for usual function, so y will be positive, or domain for function is the same as range for the inverse. So we should choose plus, so it becomes just root of x, and this new y is the inverse function, and in terms of x, and we substitute it here. And when you use this, what does it mean? It means we need just solve for x. So x becomes again plus minus root of y, but we choose plus because what x is positive. And we get that it becomes what? Pi, volume is pi, integral, limits on y-axis, and we can see that limits are from 0 to h. So integral from 0 to h. And if you use this formula, it's what? Root x squared dx. Or if you use this formula, it becomes, this becomes what? Pi integral from again from 0 of the same from 0 to h, root y squared dy. It doesn't matter this expression is in terms of x and dx, it must be the same, but you can see that it's actually the same. So it becomes pi integral from 0 to h just x dx, which is what? Pi x squared over 2, and limits from 0 to h, and substituted the upper limit, we get what? H squared over 2 minus 0 over 2. So we get this result, and you can see that you get absolutely the same here. So we get pi what integral y dy, which is y squared over 2, and limits from 0 to h, and you get absolutely the same. So volume, it's very important result. So volume for some height h is equal to pi h squared over 2. Volume is equal to pi h squared over 2 centimeters cubed. B. If the water in the glass evaporates at the rate of 3 centimeters cubed per hour for each centimeter squared of exposed surface area of the water, shows that dV over dt, what is it? It's the rate of change of the volume of water is equal to this, where it is measured in hours. And how to write this information, that rate of change of what? Of volume. So it's dV over dt is equal to, since it evaporated, what does it mean? It means that rate of change is negative because volume is decreasing. If something is decreasing, rate of change is negative, so it's minus 3. And A, where A is what? Surface area. For example, if surface area is 10, 3 per each centimeter squared, so rate of change will be negative 30, something like that. So it looks like this, and is measured in what? Centimeters per hour. So time will be measured in hours, and all lengths are measured in centimeters. And when it shows that this dV over dt is equal to this, so you can see that we need to find surface area in terms of volume. And what is surface area? What is surface area? Since our glass is created by rotating what? Y is x squared, 2 pi about y-axis, so top view, it becomes what? Just this 10 centimeters, if its top view is, or if it at some height h, so there is some x-axis, this distance is rotated 2 pi about y-axis, so we will see what? A circle with radius x. So it will be surface area. So surface area is just area of a circle with radius which is x, some are at some arbitrary height. So area is pi x squared. But we know that y is x squared, and for some arbitrary chosen x value, y coordinate, what is y coordinate? It's our height. So if we choose some x value, top view gives a circle with the radius x, but you can see that y coordinate is our height h, so y is x squared is equal to h, and we can see that we need in terms of v, so we can also take into account this formula, and we can see that what? H is equal to what? 2v over pi and square root. and it becomes dv over dt is what? Minus 3. A is pi x squared. X squared is what? H, and h is square root of 2v over pi, and finally it's minus 3 root of 2 pi v as required. See, if the glass is filled completely, how long will it take for all the water to evaporate? So if it is filled completely, it means X has its maximum possible value, which is 10, and Y, which is our height, is equal to what? X squared, so it's 100. Hence, the maximum possible volume, so it's V max, so let it be V0. It's what our formula for the volume. It's pi h squared over 2 is what? Pi h, it's 100, not 10, and 100 squared over 2, so it is equal to 5000 pi as exact, or it's 15700 centimeters cubed to 3 significant figures. And what do we need? We need time water to evaporate completely, and water for water volume, the rate of changing of the volume with time is represented by what? By this differential equation, how V changes with t. And we should consider this differential equation, and actually we need to solve this differential equation. How to do that? We can see that we can separate variables, and it's called to solve by separating variables. So move everything with v to the left, with t to the right, and we can split, and it's a constant, so it may be to the right, to the left, it doesn't matter. So let's separate variables. So it becomes dv, and let's just move root of v to the left, or actually it's the same as to divide both sides by root v, is equal to minus 3 root of what? 2 pi and dt. And then we just integrate both sides. And here it's a constant, it doesn't matter, it can be written in front. We can do indefinite integration, or we can we can solve with definite integrals. Let's consider both situations, but using definite integrals will be easier here. But let's consider both methods. So when we do what? Indefinite integration, we need what? Integrate both sides. So to find this integral and this integral, here we can see that root of v in the denominator can be represented as what? V to the power of negative a half. Root it's to the power of a half. To move up, it's minus dv, and its integral of form x to the power of n dx. Formula is given in data booklet. It's quite easy. It becomes x to the power of n plus 1 divided by the obtained power n plus 1, and if it's indefinite, plus some constant. So it becomes what? V to the power of minus a half plus 1, so it's a half, and divided by a half. To divide by 1 over 2 is the same as to multiply by flipped fraction, so it's just 2. And plus constant, but also there will be constant to the right, and it's enough to write only one constant and let it be constant to the right. And it becomes minus 3 root of 2 pi. It's just a constant times integral, it's constant multiplied by the result of integration, and integral is just 1 dt is just t, and plus constant. And when we use indefinite integrals, we need to find this constant, and to find the constant as usual we need what? Some additional information. And an additional information here, it can be the initial volume. So when t is 0, volume is 5000 pi. Since it's the initial volume, it's not a final answer, it's some intermediate results, and for some further calculation it would be better to use the exact value, not rounded value. So substituting 0 for t, and you can see it becomes just 0, and v to the power of a half is just root v, so it becomes 2 root of 5000 pi is equal to c, so it's the value of c, and hence it becomes 2 root of v is equal to minus 3 root of 2 pi t plus 2 square root of 5000 pi. And it's what does it mean? It means it's a dependence or expression v, how v volume changes with time for any moment of time. So we can find volume of water at any moment of time, but we need to find time when it evaporates completely. What does it mean? We need time when volume is equal to 0. So we need solve for t when v is 0. When v is 0, it's 0 minus 3 root of 2 pi t plus 2 root of 5000 pi. We can move it to the left and it becomes 3 root of 2 pi t is 2 root of 5000 pi. You can see root of pi cancels, and it becomes t is 2 root of 5000 divided by this root 2, or it becomes 2500, and divided by 3. And we can see that we can find the exact value here. Root of 20 root of this is root of 25 multiplied by root of 100, so it's 2/3. Root of 25 5, and root of 100 is 10, so it's, or just root of 2500, it's 50. So it becomes 100 over 3, or 33 and 1/3 hours. Time is measured in hours. Or you may write 33.3 to 3 significant figures, hours. Or when we use definite integrals, it will be absolutely the same, but v changes from the initial value v0, which is 5000 pi, to 0, because we need time which changes from 0 up to some final value, let it be capital T, and this capital T is required. It's quite easy to understand that volume changes from initial value. Here we need volume to be 0, so volume changes from this value to this value, and time changes from 0 to some capital T, and hence you get again the same, but there will be limits from this to 0, and here from 0 to capital T and no constant. And how to substitute limits? Upper limit is 0 minus, so it becomes minus 2, and its root of 5000 pi is equal to what? Minus 3 root of 2 pi and capital T, or you may write usual T, it doesn't matter, and no constant. And you need just solve for this T, and you can see that we get the same result. T is what, 2/3 and root of 2500. Root of pi cancels, and you can see you get the same. It's 100 over 3 hours, or 33 1/3 hours. And that's all for this question.